Hi guys, I want to go over a sample outline with you for the compare and contrast essay. I'm using the two subjects from the example brainstorming table and Venn diagram. So we're looking at comparing and contrasting the economies of New Zealand and Kenya. So if you look at the example on the screen, you'll see that in the introduction I have the main idea and I have the thesis statement. And then I have several parts that are written in brown. We haven't gone over thesis statements yet. We'll talk about that later when we're talking about introductory paragraphs. But I wanted to add one to this example so that you can see what it looks like. So the thesis statement gives the framework for the entire essay. It tells your audience the direction that you're going to go in the writing. So let's read this together. The economies of New Zealand and Kenya can be compared and contrasted by focusing on three main areas of discussion: gross domestic product and its composition, imported goods, and exported goods. So the thesis statement identifies the main points of discussion that you'll be comparing and contrasting throughout the essay. So what you were supposed to do for your outline was to complete the discussion points, topic sentences, and then supporting detail 1 for subject A and supporting detail 1 for subject B for each body paragraph. So if you look at paragraph 1, you'll see that the discussion point is gross domestic product and its composition, and I've lifted this directly from the thesis statement. The topic sentence tells your reader what that paragraph will focus on. So we see the gross domestic product, or GDP, of a country is the value of all goods and services provided by a country during a certain period of time. The composition of a country's GDP is based on expenses, production, and income. So I've defined what gross domestic product is. Then I'm writing one supporting detail for subject A and one supporting detail for subject B. And for the first draft of your outline, the supporting detail needs to come from your own ideas. So this is based on your brainstorming table. The GDP of New Zealand is strong when compared to other countries of similar development. Remember how when we looked at the brainstorming table, I said that we needed more research for the GDP for both New Zealand and Kenya. So because I don't have any specific information, I've written a very generalized statement about the GDP for New Zealand. Then I go to the supporting detail for subject B. While the GDP of Kenya may be considered stable when compared to other countries of similar development, it is much lower than the GDP of New Zealand. So I've contrasted both GDPs for each country. Next we move to body paragraph 2, and this is where we talked about imported goods. The topic sentence says, imported goods are the products that a country brings in from other countries. These goods are usually items that a country does not have access to or produce itself. However, sometimes imported goods are also brought in to support global trade and provide variety in the local market. Then I have a supporting detail for subject A. Since New Zealand is a first world country, many of its imports are chosen based on the intention to add options for local consumers. However, it's an island nation and a bit far from larger continents like Europe and Asia. So some of the imports include those items that are not produced within its borders. A few examples of goods imported by New Zealand are automobiles, machinery, and oil. Then I move to supporting detail 1 for subject B. Like New Zealand, Kenya also imports necessities from other countries based on local needs. Although Kenya is not quite as prosperous as New Zealand, the goods imported are similar in nature. For example, it brings in foreign automobiles and petrol products, including plastics. So if you can see through body paragraph 1 and 2, the details that I'm writing are not specific numbers, they're not specific data. They're generalized ideas from my own ideas. So there's no references, there's no outside research. Then we look at body paragraph 3, exported goods. For the topic sentence, exported goods contribute greatly to a country's economy because they are valuable sources of income. For subject A, supporting detail 1, New Zealand mainly exports food and agricultural products such as meat and dairy products, fruits and vegetables, and crude oil. Other common exports are logs and wooden materials. Then for subject B, in comparison to New Zealand, Kenya also exports foods like fish, but it has larger markets in tea and coffee production. In contrast to crude oil exportation, Kenya exports petroleum products made from oil and cement, which is used in construction. Additionally, an increase in the export of locally sourced apparel also adds to the GDP for the country. And if we scroll down, we see I have not included anything in the conclusion so far. So for your first draft of your outline, you need to fill in your outline with the same information that you see here in brown. So for body paragraph 1, 2, and 3, you're completing the discussion point, the topic sentence, subject A supporting detail 1 from your own ideas, subject B supporting detail 1 from your own ideas. Your ideas may be one sentence, or they may be 2 or 3 sentences, such as down here in paragraph 2, where we're talking about imported goods for New Zealand, or in body paragraph 3, when we're talking about exported goods for Kenya. Please upload your completed first draft for your outline to your Google Drive file by the end of Monday. I will give you feedback, and then you will start looking for references. Coming up next is the lecture for how to find credible academic sources for your writing. So stay tuned, and we're going to find out how to find the information to support our ideas and complete the remainder of the outline.